Today, I figured I'd give you a ranking of the missing in action films starring Chuck Norris. This was a Rambo-esque series of films that started in 1984 and lasted until 1988. But the funny thing is, this film actually came out before the second Rambo film. When people think Rambo, they usually think First Blood Part 2, a badass American with a big gun in the jungle. But as far as that aspect of Rambo is concerned, Chuck Norris did it first, a full year before that movie. I'm not saying this movie is a ripoff of Rambo. It's really not. It's kind of its own thing, but I do think that Rambo probably borrowed some stuff from this for the sequel, and I do think this borrowed some stuff from the original Rambo for its series. It's an interesting Vietnam action franchise starring Chuck Norris as the character of Braddock, and he's pretty damn badass. So without further ado, I figured I'd give my ranking from worst to best. Coming in last place is Missing in Action 2, The Beginning. This was a fun film. It was released in 1985. It essentially shows Chuck Norris playing James Braddock, and he has to rescue some POWs. He has to rescue himself and some POWs that after they've been captured in Vietnam. Hence the title, Missing in Action, because people think that they're, dead. It's a pretty cool movie, but the biggest problem with the second film is that it has some pacing issues. Like, once the third act gets there and Chuck Norris is just kicking ass and taking names, you're having a great time. But before that, the film gets kind of slow. Let's say the first half is not really a slog. It just kind of takes a while to get to the point. The film is entertaining through and through, but I would say it's the weakest of the trilogy. But it does have a pretty cool villain and some good action in the third act. Which leads me to number 2, 1988's Braddock, Missing in Action 3. This one actually has, in my opinion anyway, the most and best action of the franchise. This one actually has him returning to Vietnam to meet a former lover who got left behind there, who he assumed was dead. And he also meets his illegitimate half-Vietnamese child. It's a pretty badass sequel, and it's probably my favorite. Yeah? Okay. It's probably my favorite as far as action goes in the series. I don't think it's the best movie of the series, but if you're looking for just balls-to-the-wall action, it's pretty good. He even has this badass speedboat in the movie. That's something you'd see in like a James Bond film. Overall, it's just a really awesome sequel and a good conclusion to the trilogy. But none of them are as good as my number 1 pick, 1984's Missing in Action. Yeah? You think so? Is that your favorite? Yeah. Missing in Action is a film that shows Braddock going back to Vietnam to get missing POWs and prove that the corrupt Vietnamese government is still holding Americans hostage. It's a pretty good story that basically is similar to First Blood Part 2, and it kind of plays like that. But like I said, it came out a whole year before that, so I think there's some borrowing between those two series, the Rambo series and the Missing in Action series. All in all, it's very entertaining. I do very much enjoy the first film, and I think it's the best of the trilogy. Well, that's my ranking. Like I said, there's not a lot of great Chuck Norris movies. He is a very entertaining actor, but he doesn't have the best filmography. But I'd say the Missing in Action series is probably among his best movies. I don't know if it's his best, but it's definitely up there. I'd definitely say top 3 for the first film at least. All in all, if you want to see a good Vietnam action franchise that isn't Rambo, I actually would really recommend this franchise. Chuck Norris is really fun action star, and he definitely delivers in this badass and awesome trilogy. So, that's my video. Thanks for watching, and peace out.